2023 Town Board meeting. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Ann Berger, 3rd Ward.
Michael Safone, 4th Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, 5th Ward.
Ann Schuster, 6th Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk. Jessica Moran, Deputy Town Clerk.
John Bailey, Town Supervisor. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. On tonight's agenda, the first item of agenda is appointment of Kevin Cornell as a police officer. Number 2 is appoint Shannon Rodriguez as a part-time police assistant. 3, accept the resignation of Paul Speziali, cleaner with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department. Accept the resignation of Jasmine Lambert, police assistant. 5, accept donations for the police department from Devereaux Advanced Behavioral Health and Cecilia Marinelli. 6, appoint Edgar Barbacho as a groundskeeper. 7, authorize the supervisor to sign an amendment to the agreement with the Village of Wappingers for Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission to select alternate members. 8, authorize a tax search settlement, Shannon R. Becker. 9, approve private road names, Chief Manor Mobile Home Park. 10, appoint Jessica Servideo, Board of Ethics. 11, approve Poughkeepsie Babe Ruth Cal Ripken Baseball Opening Day Parade. 12, award a bid for Tucker Drive Force Main Replacement. 13, approve the 2023 Town Board Minutes. 14, notice of claim, Estate of Sum versus Town. 15, authorize Ms. Collins to lease extension Tucker Drive. 16, a resolution of Mid-Hudson Development Corp. We have 3 special consents. Appoint Kimberly Hunt Lee with McCabe and Mack, RE Estate of Carriston, notice of claim. SC2, authorize the comptroller to transfer expenditures from the ARPA funds. SC3, waive the 30-day liquor license for liquor license All-in-One Adventures, 2001 South Road, and Pizzeria Posto. With that, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody who'd like to speak to any item on the agenda? And please ask them to keep it to 3 minutes.
Doreen?
Thank you. I have a question on SC2. Jay, can you briefly explain what that is, the comptroller to transfer expenditures of ARPA funds?
Yeah, all the ARPA funds are listed as a liability, so New York State wants them to be transferred once they're spent, and that's all it is giving the comptroller the okay to transfer them over from the liability line to the other lines.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else want to speak on any agenda items?
If not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Renahan.
Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Kevin Cornell to the position of full-time police officer under provision of civil service law at the starting yearly salary of $65,760.72, effective March 27, 2023, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26 no more than 52 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So,
Second.
Any motion second, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Congratulations. Thanks.
Just repeat after me, Kevin. I do solemnly swear, raise your right hand,
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
office of
Office of
police officer for the town of Poughkeepsie,
Police Officer for the Town of Poughkeepsie,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Shannon Rodriguez to the position of part-time police assistant with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department at the grade 6, step 4 salary of $25.3426 per hour, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law, effective June 7th, 2021. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Cleaner Paul Spiziel from the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department effective March 15th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions?
Just wish him well on his next endeavor.
Same here. Wish him well in his next position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Police Assistant Jasmine Lambert from the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department effective March 28, 2023. So moved.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second on this one. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with appreciation a donation of $150 from the Devereaux Advanced Behavior Health, and be further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with appreciation a donation of $50 from Cecilia Martinelli, and be further resolved that said donations which were made to our police department in appreciation of its responsiveness will be used to offset police department needs. So moved.
Second.
Have motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Edgar Barbachos to the full-time position of groundskeeper with the Recreation Department as a grade 5, step 1 salary of $20.8493 per hour, effective March 29, 23, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town of Poughkeepsie was party to an agreement with the Town of Wappingers, Town of LaGrange, and Village of Wappingers executed on March 12, 1975, which created the Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, which agreement was amended when the towns of Wappingers and LaGrange elected to discontinue their participation in the commission. And whereas the annex amendment to the agreement would, if adopted, provide for the appointment of 2 alternate members to the commission board by both the Town of Poughkeepsie and the Village of Wappingers within 60 days of execution of this amendment. Now therefore be it resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute said amendment to the agreement in substantially the form annexed, and be it further resolved that because the execution of this amendment is part of the ongoing administration of town affairs without a major reordering of priorities which might impact the environment, this is a type 2 action requiring no secret review. So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, no, this is just a really good idea, because it's really difficult to get quorums these days.
And that's what we had brought up today, and this is exactly what I was bringing up.
Yeah.
That it's only a board of 4 members, so it's held during basically work hours every day, so it's rough sometimes to get all the bodies to be down there.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of the tax certiorari proceedings instituted by Shannon R. Becker for 2421 New Hackensack Road, tax grid number 134689626113913900000 for the 2021-2022 tax assessment roll as shown on the attached consent order and judgments. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee, Town Assessor Jennifer Mund, and Kyle Barnett of Vandewater and Vandewater LLP to sign such papers are as necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions?
Yeah, this is a residence. This is, normally these are businesses, and this is a.
It's one of the few residents, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we don't get a lot, most of them end up in the small claims court. This is one that ended up in court, so we don't get a lot in court, you know. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the private road name for identification purposes only for the project known as Schaeff Manor Mobile Home Park. Parcel grid number 6159-03-165380 as follows: 1 Schaeff Lane, 2 Forest Lane, 3 Winding Wood Lane. And be it further resolved that upon adoption of this resolution, said resolution shall be sent to the 911 facilities for Dutchess County by the town clerk of the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one?
Jay, do you think there's gonna be some confusion with that, though? That's the only issue I have with being Sheaf Road and Sheaf Lane. If somebody says it wrong and the numbers are close, or, if it's a lower number.
I don't know, numbers in the mobile home park, there's only 80 units, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they still start with low numbers.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have, and then, obviously the south end of Sheaf Road starts with low numbers. I just hope they don't have that
Don't confuse
mistake
it.
where somebody calls an emergency and gets confused. I know that most have that enhanced 911, but if they use a cell phone, they're not gonna catch that, and that's what I'm afraid
Do you
of.
want to table it and go back to them and see if they come up with a different name?
I would like to see that, because I don't want to see that mistake, because now, especially with down there, a lot of people are going away from landlines and they have cell phones. And if they're using a cell phone, especially on Sheaf Road down there, most likely it's going to ping over on the other side of the river. And that's going to even add more confusion, you know what I mean? So I would like to table to see if they can possibly change that
Yeah,
name.
change the one name, sure. Motion to table?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion table 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint to the Board of Ethics Jessica Servideo as the employee representative for a term expiring on February 28, 2025. So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie heretofore received an application from Joe Carzoza on behalf of Poughkeepsie Bay Roof Cal Ripken Baseball to hold its opening day parade on April 15, 2023 at 9 a.m., which parade route is outlined on the attached documentation. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application for said opening day parade, and that the town clerk is receipt of a certificate of liability insurance naming the town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is hereby award the bid for Tucker Drive Force Main Replacement to the lowest bidder, Tam Enterprise, Inc., at the bid price of $823,007 pursuant to the recommendation of Robert Bozak, Assistant Town Engineer. Be it further resolved, the supervisor is authorized to execute a contract with Tam Enterprises, Inc. on receipt of all required documentation, including bonds and proof of insurance coverage. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? The only comment I will say on this one, when this was originally put out, we received grant money from the state for $400,000. It was supposed to be a probably about $475,000 project, but it sat on the governor's desk for 3.5 years before he decided to sign it. So the cost has gone up about $300,000 in that timeframe. Yeah. And not the current governor either. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the minutes for the following 2023 town board meetings, to wit: January 4, 2023, regular town board meeting; January 18, 2023, committee of the whole, regular town board meeting; February 1st, 2023, regular town board meeting; February 15th, 2023, regular town board meeting; March 1st, 2023, regular town board meeting. So moved.
Motion second. Any questions on those? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 14 is a notice of claim, the state of Sun versus the town of Poughkeepsie.
15, whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has for several years leased unneeded land and a building on Tucker Drive to McCollister Moving and Storage, which lease both properties wish to extend. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute a lease extension through September 30th, 2024, in substantially the form annexed, effective as of February 1st, 2022, and be it further resolved that because this resolution authorizes a small lease extension without material changes, it is a type 2 action under SECR requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas Mid-Hudson Development Corp. and South Hills Common LLC, the developers, are developing a four-building apartment complex on the west side of Route 9D in the town of Poughkeepsie. And whereas changes to the design of the project's waste transmission system have been made, and in an effort to qualify for temporary certificates of occupancy, developers have requested the town advise Dutchess County that the town is assuming operation and maintenance responsibility for the sewer buildings serving buildings 1 and 2 from the SMH1 outlet to the town's manhole at the westerly edge of Route 9D, DOT right away, pending the town's receipt of title to an extended easement and the ownership of the line from the SMH1 outlet to the town's manhole. And whereas the town is willing to so advise Dutchess County per the annexed letter if the developers meet certain conditions, precedent, and antecedent as outlined in the letter agreement, which is annexed here too, now therefore be it resolved that this board ratifies and authorizes the supervisor's execution of the annexed correspondence to the county and to the letter agreement, both on terms substantially equivalent to those presented and acceptable to him, and be further resolved that no secret review is required because the South Hills Common Development Project has been the subject of a full environmental review, and this board finds that the modifications to the system and the assumption of the above obligations and ownership will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit: 1, appoint Kimberly Hunt Lee with McCabe and Mack regarding a state of care stum notice of claim. 2, authorize comptroller to transfer expenditures of ARPA funds. 3, waive 30-day liquor license. A, All In Adventures. B, Pizzeria Posto. Be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the town board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
It's really hard to hear you tonight, Jay, just,
Okay,
sorry.
so I'm losing my voice, so that could have something to do with it.
Be it resolved that McCabe and Mack LLP, Kimberly Hunt Lee of council, is appointed to represent the town in matters relating to the estate of Clara Sump at the firm's standard hourly rates. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the comptroller to transfer any and all of the current and future expenditures of the American Rescue Plan, ARPA, funds currently carried in the general fund to the appropriate funds as necessary. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And the reason behind that was the state wanted it done. The auditors are here this week, and that was one of the first things they brought up, that the state put it in place last year. So we figured we'll correct it right away.
Good. Whereas by resolution 3-1, number 13 of 2023, a waiver of the 30-day review period for a liquor license application was approved for All In One Adventures, 2001 South Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And due to the applicant's error in the name, it needs to go before the town board again. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of All In Adventures, 2001 South Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, for a waiver of the 30-day review period for a liquor license application, and be it further resolved that town board of town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of Pizzeria Posto, 45 Eastdale Avenue North, Suite 100, Poughkeepsie, New York, for a waiver of the 30-day review period for a liquor license application. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I can make a motion to suspend the rules for any other item and ask people to please limit it to 3 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's somebody on Zoom there.
Does anybody want to speak about any other items in the town? Come on up.
Good evening. This is regarding the Poughkeepsie Day School Program. So based on your recent video, there was a revised plan with a cost of $48 million. What justifies the announced cost? How much will that raise the residents' property taxes? What portion of the town tax will be increased? Does it include the Arlington fire, or is that omitted? What's the timeline before we can see the revised plan? What will be the ongoing cost to staff and maintain the new site? What market research did you do for the potential rental of the auditorium and other spaces?
I'll answer all your questions at the end, as many as I can at the end.
Excuse me?
I'll answer as many of your questions as I can at the end.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Rebecca Edwards and I live in Ward 6. And I want to follow up on the first speaker's questions. We're part of a group known as We Are the Town of Poughkeepsie, which is an ad hoc group that's been following the town's process of deliberation over this site on Boardman Road. And I have a set of questions that we have compiled from people in all parts of town and all kinds of backgrounds, people who have young kids, parents of young kids, and people who are seniors, and all political backgrounds across party lines. So I want to bring this up and give it to the board members so that everyone has a copy and that you can see the range of questions that people have. I would just note a couple of things. There's an overwhelming concern about cost, as the first speaker said this evening. We have people living on fixed incomes, and if there's going to be a $48 million project, as the revised, the video indicated the revised cost is going to be, we need to know what impact that's going to have on people's taxes. And there's a lot of concern about the site that has been selected for reasons of, traffic concern and suitability of that site, as well as the question of whether it follows the town's comprehensive plan, which the board has adopted. And it doesn't appear to many of us that that site really matches the goals, the very worthy goals of the comprehensive plan that was adopted. There was some discussion in the video that was done a few weeks back about kids and camp programs being at that site. If a police station and criminal justice activity is also happening at that site, there are serious questions about how those things would fit together, how a theater and sports fields are going to accommodate children's programs, and at the same time a police station and a criminal justice process is going to happen in between. And last of all, I'd just like to speak for 1 second about process. Clearly, after public feedback in December, there is further ongoing conversation about changing the nature of the project. That conversation has not been public. And I believe that the best decisions are made when there's public conversation and broad dialogue and where everything's done in a transparent way. And we can't see what process is going on. We can't see what deliberations are being made. The town board agenda clearly states that committees of the town board are subject to the open meetings law. That means there should be an agenda, the public should be able to attend, and there should be minutes, and there should ideally be a video. So none of those things are happening, and so we can't really see what's going on. So in light of the fact that we can't tell what's going on in terms of that conversation, we're bringing these questions, and I will hand them to the supervisor and hope that everyone will take a look at them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else? Oh, that sounds really lovely. Is there anybody else?
Anybody else want to speak on any town issue? Okay, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Call. I'm a resident of Ward 6, 74 Boardman Road. I have been, like all the other residents in Poughkeepsie, been wondering about this town of Poughkeepsie police station, courthouse facility that's to be made. To me, I was here about in December, and I heard a very moving speech by a policeman who talked about the environmental hazard at the current police facility. And the question I have So that was 3 months ago. The question I have,
No, I need to hear this. Leave this alone.
Can you please, go.
Go ahead.
okay, you're gonna hear it. The question I have is that, why are we subjecting our police to having to serve in a facility which is an environmental hazard? Why do we have police, perhaps women, who are pregnant, having to be exposed to these environmental hazards? Why haven't our police been moved to a rental facility? Why are we expecting our police to wait 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? How long is it going to be? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Chally?
Good evening, Jim Chally, 35 Park Avenue. I'm here actually for two things. Let me first put on my Peach Hill hat. And I want to commend Frank Cicero, who's a relatively new employee in the Recreation Department. We've had a couple of problems up at Peach Hill. One involved a gate that was damaged. And he came the next day, took it down, had it repaired, and had it back up before the end of the day. Then about a week later, we had some problems with ATVs coming in off the Central Hudson power line. And again, he was there, this time with the assistance of the police department, who I also thank for their quick action. Put up some surveillance cameras, and the problem, I believe, at least has been resolved for the time being. So I just want to thank Frank for his really conscientious work and the police department for their help. The second item, taking off the Peach Hill hat, has to do with the ongoing concerns about a new police facility. And I just want to reiterate that I hope in the course of thinking about new sites that you please keep in mind the master plan. A lot of people worked very hard, thought very hard about this, and there are two things in there that I would just underscore. One is the importance of redevelopment in town centers, and the second is the importance of the adaptive reuse of underutilized or vacant or otherwise unused structures. Both of these, I think, are opportunities that the town can capitalize on, and I would encourage you to keep these in mind as these deliberations go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, I'm Linda Montanino. I live at 9 Redwood Lane in the town of Poughkeepsie. And I'm here to talk about the police project. I understand the police need a new facility. But there's a few things. One thing is the proposed site that they're talking about now, they would have to do extensive work, not only to build a building, but to put a gun range up there. And aside from any environmental concerns, there are other sites that police officers can use to practice. I know at one point, and I don't know if it's changed, the MTA has a facility in Dutchess County that they were letting police officers train from municipalities. There's a private owner, I think it's in, I can't remember if it's LaGrange, but he has a facility that police officers could use. So that would be a savings in that part of it. There, as the former speakers, also having a gun range in that location where you have the library you have schools, you have daycare facilities. It's not really a great place to have people shooting guns, especially with all of the school shootings and things of that nature. I just don't think it's a good location for that. So that was one thing. As far as I'm gonna latch on to the guy before me, as far as sites that are there, that would be easier to renovate, probably less expensive, and also environmentally, you wouldn't be knocking down all of these trees and doing work that you wouldn't have to do. There's that huge buffet on Route 9 that's probably still under. I saw there was a site across from around the Morse House. There was a golf club, not Casper Hill, another one, and there's a sign that there's land for sale there. And I saw there was a building there. Just as I drive up and down Route 9, I see all these standalone buildings that could probably be revamped for a police department, and it would be quicker, especially if you're concerned about getting these fine officers out of a hazardous area. So that's I have a lot of other things I could talk about, but I'll keep it
Thank you.
short. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing your revised plan.
Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lynn Willantowitz, and I live in Ward 6 also. People have been talking here. I also attended a December meeting. And so we're talking now, we've been talking in the past, and I'm just wondering, you're hearing us, but are you listening? I think it's incumbent upon the board to conduct this process with the support of the public entirely along the way. When the public did not have involvement in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and things were done without transparency and behind closed doors, look at the catastrophic results. While you, the current board, were not members then, it is imperative that this scandal is not forgotten. This scandal is relevant now because here we are today, and we are not still feeling that our police department has gotten a resolution to the problem that was created 20 years ago by the scandal. It is so much easier to address the issue of relocating one municipality alone rather than an entire town's facilities. I asked back in December in an earlier meeting, when it was tabled, the question of how did this morph from being the police need to get out of a toxic building to now the entire town needs to relocate into a mansion on a residential street with a blind hill at a dangerous intersection with a daycare, a library, and no bus access to it. The public is deserving and entitled to answers to these questions. We still have not gotten them, and the questions all remain unanswered. Let's not revisit a time in the history where having power and authority and the ability to make these decisions without your townspeople on board will override the right thing to do and people's input and choices. That will once again find you down a very slippery slope. And the board should revisit its relationship with its power to make these decisions. Just because one can yield power, should one be using it? If so, you must be prepared to accept the full responsibility and ramifications of the outcome. On a side note, our current utility bills are now higher than my initial mortgage payment for my first home. The townsfolk cannot tolerate another tax levy. This is an unnecessary luxury, not a necessity. The necessity is to quickly and expediently get our police department who serve us into a safe location. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What I will state is this project started in 1999 with a grant from Dutchess County as a shared service grant with Arlington Fire, Town of Poughkeepsie, to see if we could find one central location for everybody. As far as the police department goes, we've been doing air quality reports. This board here, whether there was Republicans or Democrats before this board, nobody did anything. This board is the only board that stood up to the plate and realized these police need to go in somewhere. We have taken everybody's information. I've got numerous phone calls since we had our last meeting. When we finished the first study, we had a meeting in the police station. Everybody was involved, was invited over there. Some got tours of the station. It was an hour-long presentation when the first one got done. When that was finished, we went on to the second half. That was, if I'm not mistaken, over an $80 million project then with Arlington. And we said, this is absolutely way too much money for us to do. So we backed back and we took it upon ourselves to put just the town in that piece. And when the last plan came out, it was still higher. Time's going on, it got higher. We pulled the town corn out. So whoever here is stating a mansion for town hall has not been on the plate since December. $48 million is the number that was out there in December. With all the numbers of what people have called and asked to look at, we have currently reached out to other people and looked at those locations in different locations. And the video was done to let people know what we were looking at, because the questions and the lies that have been stated out there about 10% increase on your taxes, it's not fire. If there was an increase in your tax, which we were looking at the true number, when we whittle it down to what it is, the true number is on your town tax only. So if somebody says 10% of your town tax, if you're paying $1,500 a year in your town tax, it's a $150 increase. It's not $1,000 if you're paying $10,000, it would be a $150 increase on that. If nothing was ever changed, you put a roof on your house, you'd cut back on something else. That full number would never go on there. We have been meeting with local representatives, state representatives, and federal representatives to try to get funding so they will understand this is not an easy process. It's a process that this board here took on. And we look to go forward and move forward and go on and build a project that will not be a warehouse that's retrofitted. It'll be a building that 30 years from now, it'll still be standing in good shape when we come down to be what we wanted to build. So we are still working on it. We're looking at it. We still have the architect is there. We have in-house planners that we're working with. We're still going through the process of looking to whittle the numbers down and try to make this as affordable. When the architects came out with the number, that is the number. Somebody here stated the shooting range, which is supposed to be an indoor shooting range. That'll probably be one of the first things to go. You start at the top and you back the number down. We want to move the process along. We were being open by saying $48 million would be the max. The bond for $48 million does not mean you're borrowing $48 million. We look to come in under budget. We want to get the process going forward. So that's why we're at where we are. This is online. It's there. We've had a presentation here last year from the architects about the project. And we had a presentation 3 years ago over in the police court facility about the project. So it's not hidden. We're just doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and it's not in committees. It's phone calls to one, phone to... It's not in committees. You can sit here and laugh. I call the planning department. I'm not having a committee meeting. That's the truth of that. I got a call from somebody, I think she's online here, about 12 times. And I'm looking at what she brought up. People brought up different areas and different locations. This police station cannot be built on 1 acre. You know, people have called it half-acre lots. They've called, we've looked at IBM Country Club. We looked at where the Mazda dealership is. The golf course, which somebody mentioned, is $13 million. You know, there's a golf course. In green space, this town is green from the river to Vassar Farms, right through that section of town, from Locust Grove through. So in the back of your mind, don't keep in just the fact that to put it on that location, which is probably the busiest section of Route 9 we have, there is other aspects to keep in your mind of what the town wants to do. That's a green space from IBM's North 100, Locust Grove, right through the golf course to McCann Golf Course over to, you know, Vassar Farms. That's a green space that we don't want to tear apart. They changed the zoning on that years ago in the back end to keep it that way. So we're looking at the whole picture. We're not just looking at a location. People have brought up a couple decent locations, but the other thing is a lot of these spots are in possible development phases too that people have looked at. So it takes something off the tax rolls to put it there, and the school is currently off the tax rolls. So we are going forward. We're looking, and we're hoping within the next month we'll have all this out there and we'll get some more numbers together and we can meet. We met with the police chief yesterday with some local legislators to try to, you know, get something moving forward. So we are working on all different avenues to bring this forward. So if there's any other single questions that people want, they can email me, they can feel free. I mean, to say that this was, you know, police, we're moving into a mansion is the furthest thing from the truth. Day one, when we sat in here in December, that mansion was off the table. And it's not a mansion, it was a day school, and before that was IBM offices built in an old house, which was a mansion back probably 60 years ago, so it's not a mansion. You can take the nicest picture you want of the one piece of property there, and that one room, the president's room, that's the nicest room in there. The rest of all the rooms have Wi-Fi's, kids' bathrooms and everything, so it's not the mansion that people are making it out to be. This is a project we want to move forward. If we end up in that location, we do, and if we don't, if something else comes up, we get different calls all the time from different people who are interested. Got a call again today from somebody, so we're looking at all these avenues of where we want to go. But our number one objective is to get them police into a sufficient building where they can be before we dump any more money into that building. Does anybody have anything else? No? Motion adjourned?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
If anybody's got any questions, feel free to answer them. You can write up and run up.